after a summer struggling for donations.
Plus, President Biden calls out China and Russia in his first formal plan for national security.
And in sports, the Ohio Bobcats are looking for their first road win. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Taylor Mondragon.
And I'm Jensen Neck. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. The Southeast Ohio Food Bank says new federal funding to restock their shelves is still not enough to keep up with increasing demand.
The Ohio Controlling Board recently approved $15 million in American Rescue Act funds for food banks statewide. The money will be used to purchase protein from Ohio farmers. The Southeast Ohio Food Bank says public and private donations tried up over the summer. All this while demand is up around 65% from last year. The Ohio Association of Food Banks has been asking the state for $50 million in ARPA funding for about a year. No decision has been made about that request. If all supplies run out, Hamler Fugit says, quote, "All we can do is close our doors and hope for the best." To find ways to help the Southeast Ohio Food Bank, visit hapcap.org/SEO-foodbank. Athens County Auditor Kathy Hecht announced that the City of Athens is returning unclaimed funds to Athens residents. The City Auditor's Office is making an attempt to notify anyone who is owed $50 or more by means of mail. But a complete list of names of residents getting money back from the city will be posted on the first floor of the City Building and the Athens Community Center. Citizens will have until October 28 to claim these funds. Honda of America announces major investments in the state of Ohio. Earlier this year, Honda announced it would partner with LG Energy Solution to build electric car batteries for Honda and Acura. Governor Mike DeWine announced these will be made in a new $3.5 billion facility in Fayette County. This facility will bring an estimated 2,200 new jobs to Ohio. Honda has also promised $700 million towards its retooling its facilities in Marysville, East Liberty, and Anna, creating 300 more jobs. Ohio manufacturing leaders say Honda's announcement will secure the state's automotive industry for the future.
A $200 million expansion project is underway in Lancaster. Serbia Solutions will expand their battery recycling operations plant in Rockmill Industrial Park. At the new plant, workers will recycle electric vehicle batteries to power more than 200,000 electric vehicles annually. According to the Lancaster Eagle Gazette, the new plant will be one of the largest battery recycling plants in North America. Daniel Spalding, Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Serbia Solutions, says the project will expand a current building and potentially adding a new one. Spalding says construction should start sometime next year, and it could become operational by late 2024 or early 2025. Huntington City Council last night voted to create a governing board to oversee the city's new broadband project. The board will consist of 3 members that will oversee the implementation of the new Smart City project, which plans on placing 183 miles of fiber optic cables across the city. Project manager Corey Dennison says that multiple internet providers would be able to lease the network and create an open and competitive environment, in turn lowering prices for consumers. Dennison says the new project will be a high-speed backbone and make Huntington a smart city. Now over to forecaster Jacob Van Cleve with a first look at today's weather.
Good afternoon, Southeastern Ohio. I'm Newswatch forecaster Jacob Van Cleve. If we take a look in our region today, we're currently at temperatures of 64 degrees with heavy rain. That heavy rain is associated with the storm band from the cold front that's reaching our area. Now, with that cold front, you also see that it'll be part of a low pressure system, and that low pressure is actually dropping, seen here in the barometer pressure. Now, as we take a look in the actual region itself, we don't have any severe weather warnings currently, but there is some special weather statements for regions like south of Ironton, and there was a little bit up there north towards Lancaster. Now, Athens itself, you can see that this is the actual storm system that's moving into our area. That's associated, again, with that cold front that's bringing in those cooler, or that currently warmer temperatures and wetter conditions, and it's going to be with that storm system. Now, the main threat with that storm system tonight is just high winds and rain. Now, through the region here, Athens 73 for a high today, Lancaster 73, Huntington 72, and Parkersburg, you were at a high of 75 degrees. Now, Athens tonight, your temperatures tonight will be a low of 53 degrees, again with those rains with that cold front moving through the area. That's all I have for first weather. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Jacob. The Ohio Supreme Court has agreed to hear arguments about a judge's decision barring transgender individuals from requesting a gender correction on their birth certificate. A Clark County probate judge refused to approve a transgender woman's request to correct her birth certificate from male to female. After appealing the decision, a judge upheld the probate court's decision, saying nothing in state law gave judge authority to approve the request. The woman's attorneys say the appeals court ruling runs counter to the other federal and state court decision. Tamarack Marketplace in Beckley, West Virginia is calling on artists statewide to join their showcase. For 25 years, Tamarack has showcased the, quote, best of West Virginia by selling and displaying the work of local talent along 77, and this year they are hoping to expand. Gallery director Mandy Lash tells WVVA Tamaracks is looking for creators of all types in West Virginia to display their work throughout the market. Artists have until Saturday, October 29th to register, after which applicants will go through a jury process. For more information, visit www.tamarackwv.com. President Biden threatens Saudi Arabia.
There will be consequences.
Plus, why you may be spending more on heating this winter. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
It's week 9 and the action is as good as ever in the 740. This Friday, the Sheridan Generals travel to Tri-Valley to take on the Scotties with the NBL title on the line. The Jackson Ironmen aim to defend their home turf against Washington Courthouse in one of the biggest FAC games of the year, and the Nelsonville York Buckeyes head to Vinton County to battle it out for the TVC Ohio crown. So join us on Friday night at 11:30 p.m. at WOUB. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Now streaming on the PBS app, Antiques Road Trip.
I like it.
20 seasons.
Ooh, pretty good, yeah.
Of antiques experts.
Oh, stop it.
Scouring Britain in classic cars.
Yeah, baby.
On the hunt for hidden treasures.
I think I found something.
It's brilliant.
The goal? To make the biggest profit at auction.
You're some man.
There'll be worthy winners and valiant losers. Antiques Road Trip. Stream all episodes now with Passport on the PBS app.
I took astronomy from Carl Sagan in 1977. The guy had a huge influence on me. Cosmos on PBS was Carl Sagan's lectures with fabulous graphics.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
PBS and I are a perfect match. It's just wonderful programming, not just for kids, but for all of us.
Carry on. Don't you people have school to work on?
Predictive policing.
It's artificial intelligence.
You look at past crimes to predict the future.
And the future is now.
What will a human being do tomorrow or the next day?
Give me all your money, man.
Can the predictions be trusted?
The algorithm only knows what it's been fed.
Who's accountable when systems harm the communities that they're designed to serve?
Computers versus crime on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
President Biden has released his first formal national security strategy. In it, he singles out China and Russia while focusing on rebuilding global partnerships. The document calls out China's intent to reshape the international order and identifies the country as, quote, America's consequential geopolitical challenge. Biden says Russia poses an immediate threat to the free and open international system. But China is the only competitor that increasingly has the economic, diplomatic, military, and technological power to reshape that system. The strategy allows the president to place into writing the pillars of his foreign policy. It is required by Congress and comes nearly 2 years into his term. President Biden and some lawmakers are threatening to punish Saudi Arabia for supporting oil production cuts. The regime is part of the OPEC, which says it'll slash 2 million barrels a day starting next month. Amy Kiley reports on the potential response to that economic blow.
There will be consequences.
That's President Joe Biden's threat to Saudi Arabia. It comes after the oil-rich nation said it would cut production next month, along with other members of OPEC+.
It is Putin and Saudi Arabia against the United States.
Some lawmakers are already calling for specific consequences. Democratic Senators Richard Blumenthal and Ro Khanna have announced a bill that would stop all U.S. arms sales to Saudi Arabia for 1 year. Other countries could suffer under the oil cuts, too. The chief economist for the International Monetary Fund predicts this for next year.
People dealing with high energy prices and food prices, and so it's going to feel worse than where it is right now.
Saudi Arabia has a dismal record on human rights. U.S. intelligence believes its crown prince orchestrated the murder of journalist and U.S. resident Jamal Khashoggi. That's the same prince Biden fist-bumped when he visited Saudi Arabia in July. The White House seems intent on recasting those optics now.
Since taking office, the president has been very clear that the United States needs a different sort of relationship with Saudi Arabia.
I think the president's been very clear that this is a relationship that we need to continue to reevaluate.
The president has been clear all along, and that we need a different sort of relationship with Saudi Arabia.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Just as OPEC cuts oil production next month, experts are saying you're probably going to be spending more money to heat your home this winter. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is predicting about a 6% increase in the number of days heating is needed. Nearly half of houses nationwide use natural gas for heat. And according to the Energy Information Administration, natural gas customers can expect an average increase cost of about $200 for the season. About 40% of houses use electric heating, so the electric bill could rise more than $100 this winter. Americans who use propane for heat will see a rise of about $80. Less than 5% of homes nationwide use oil for heat. This will be the most expensive price forecast, jumping to $1,200. And if winter turns out to be colder than expected, the cost of heating could rise even more.
More grim news for the economy. A key measure of inflation is rising faster than expected. Isabel Rosales explains what this means for your wallet.
The Labor Department reporting a larger than expected increase Wednesday in the Producer Price Index. The report gauges prices paid for goods and services before they reach you, the consumer. Energy was up a little under 1% in September. Food prices jumped 1.2%. And services are up about 0.5%. While these increases represent the wholesale prices, they are likely to be passed on to the consumers in the form of higher grocery prices.
Historical experience suggests that the kind of inflation we have rarely returns to normal levels, to target levels of around 2% without some kind of recession.
The fight to bring down decades-high inflation has become a major concern for the Federal Reserve. The central bank has been hiking interest rates at an unprecedented pace in an effort to cool down the economy. But there are concerns that it's happening too fast and could soon lead to a recession.
No, look, they've been saying this now every 6 months they say this.
President Joe Biden remains confident in the economy.
I don't think there will be a recession. If it is, it'll be a very slight recession.
I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
Even though the economy is dipping, Biden's approval ratings have continued to rise after the summer's historical lows. When we return, conspiracy theorist and talk show host receives a verdict on his defamation trial. That story's still ahead.
In active weather across the country, you can expect a little bit of that to move through the region tonight. I'll talk more about that when Newswatch returns. In the meantime, follow us on social media. Check us out on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.
I took astronomy from Carl Sagan in 1977. The guy had a huge influence on me. Cosmos on PBS was Carl Sagan's lectures with fabulous graphics.
Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
PBS and I are a perfect match. It's It's just wonderful programming, not just for kids, but for all of us.
Carry on. Don't you people have school to work on?
On American Experience.
Jeans are the quintessential American garment. They are universal and individual at the same time. But it's always the same story. It's about the cowboys in the West. It's about Levi Strauss and the gold rush.
And yet so much of the story we tell about jeans is a myth.
Riveted, the history of jeans on American Experience.
Saturday at 9 on WOUB.
Predictive policing.
It's artificial intelligence.
You look at past crimes to predict the future.
And the future is now.
What will a human being do tomorrow or the next day?
Hey, give me all your money, man.
Can the predictions be trusted?
The algorithm only knows what it's been fed.
Who's accountable when systems harm the communities that they're designed to serve?
Computers versus crime on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
It's week 9 and the action is as good as ever in the 7-4-0. This Friday, the Sheridan Generals travel to Tri-Valley to take on the Scotties with the NBL title on the line. The Jackson Ironmen aim to defend their home turf against Washington Courthouse in one of the biggest FAC games of the year, and the Nelsonville York Buckeyes head to Vinton County to battle it out for the TVC Ohio crown. So join us on Friday night at 11:30 p.m. at WOUB. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Welcome back, Southeastern Ohio. I'm Newswatch forecaster Jacob Van Cleve. The National Weather Service does have us under a marginal risk for severe weather tonight, and you can see that reflected currently with the active conditions. Now, just popped up now, just south or just the north part of Kentucky, southwest of us, severe thunderstorm warning has been in effect. Now, there is also some regions with some special weather statements that's associated again with that storm that's moving through our region. Now, that storm itself, you can see right here on the radial velocities, is just passing through Athens now. That's going to bring that rain and wind. Those are the main threats of that, so there isn't too much concern. Now, later tonight, as that cold front does continue to push through our region, expect more little storms like this to be predominant throughout the night. Now, Athens today, you did see a high of 75 degrees with a low of 53 degrees. Now, those thunderstorm chance at 40% is because of that cold front that is moving into our region. Now, tonight, Athens, you will see temperatures drop down to 53 degrees with those showers, again, with that cold front moving through. Now, that cold front that I'm mentioning will eventually slowly make its way across the country, and you can see that reflected here with the surface analysis for tomorrow. Now, that cold front is going to bring those cooler temperatures to the east and is going to bring in cooler temperatures from us from the north. Now, this little yellow line here that you see, that's associated with the dry line. That just means the conditions back here will be a little bit cooler, but they'll also be drier. So most of the moisture is going to stay relatively in our region right over here. Now, Athens tomorrow, you will see temperatures a high of 65, a low of 36. That temperatures being cooler is because of those cooler temperatures associated with that low front pushing through our area. Now, that rain is still expected to sit in our region with a chance of 30% for rain showers tomorrow. Now, if we look again at that surface analysis for tomorrow night, you can see that again, it is still pushing a little bit slower, but to the west, or to the east, my apologies. And then that cold front or that dry line is then slowly creeping its way into our region. Now, you do still see over here by Athens and southeastern Ohio that rain is just going to kind of sit there. Now, this isn't the actual rain itself. This is just the region where the rain is expected due to the rain following behind this cold front. Now, as we look again on Friday with the surface analysis, that cold front then pushes out into the Atlantic Sea, and you now see high pressure now dominate in the region. That high pressure is going to give us those cooler temperatures, and that dry line there again expressing that cooler temperatures and clear skies. Now, Athens, we take a look at your weekend forecast here. You see Friday with a high of 63 degrees and a low of 40 degrees. That, again, is because that low pressure system moving through our region. You're going to have mostly sunny skies, but do expect some clouds to linger on as we have another cold front preparing to make its way through Saturday. Saturday, you have a high of 68 degrees, low of 42 degrees with that 20% chance of showers. Now, that cold front isn't going to be as strong, but it's still predominant as you still see the temperatures dropping into Sunday with a high of 61 degrees and a low of 38. Now, our 7-day outlook for Athens, you can see as we move on past Sunday there, that cold front now is really going to make those temperatures cooler with Monday a high of 54 degrees and a low of 30 degrees. Now, the showers are still at 20% chance, but I do do expect those to linger along and then eventually get pushed through as high pressure is going to dominate the region. The high pressure bringing those cooler conditions, clearer skies with a high of 49 on Tuesday, low of 32 on Tuesday, and Wednesday, those cool fall temperatures are back with a high of 50 and a low of 29. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Jacob. A jury in Connecticut has awarded nearly $1 billion to Sandy Hook families and a first responder. The 15 plaintiffs will get $965 million from conspiracy theorist and talk show host Alex Jones and his company. They sued for defamation over his false claims that the 2012 school shooting was a hoax. 20 small children and 6 adults were killed in that mass shooting. The jury verdict is a significant victory for the plaintiffs. The award covers defamation, invasion of privacy, and emotional distress. Meanwhile, Jones's attorney says he will appeal the verdict.
We live in divided times. They've been weaponized and used for political purposes in this country, in my view, and today is a very, very, very dark day for freedom of speech.
Baltimore prosecutors dropped all charges against Adnan Syed, whose conviction was featured on the popular podcast Serial. Reed Binion has a closer look.
When Lisa Overholzer started feeling pain near her left shoulder blade that shot to her shoulder and down her arm, she went to a doctor thinking she'd pinched a nerve.
The pain was just so unrelenting.
After a CT scan, Overholzer found out she had inflammatory breast cancer.
I know the quicker we find something, the easier it is to treat, and they're already talking stage 3 or stage 4. And at that moment, truly, I felt like your time's about done.
This rare but aggressive form of the disease has signs that can be subtle, including swelling of the skin on and around the breast, infection like redness, an orange peel-like texture or dimpling of skin, changes in the nipple area, a feeling of heaviness in the breast or tightening of the skin, and breast engorgement.
I have over a 30-year history in the healthcare professions. I'm a physical therapist assistant. But you know what? I still didn't know.
Overholzer surgical oncologist Dr. Ko-Un Clara Park says this form of cancer is often misdiagnosed as a breast infection.
The most important thing for patients is if they experience a change in their breast, then they seek care with their providers and to obtain a mammogram to make sure that they are not missing something.
After treatment, Overholzer says her cancer isn't growing.
Every day is a good day. I just think a bad day is a real big waste of time, and I don't want to waste any of it.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Coming up in sports, Ohio football prepares to face Western Michigan in a search of its first road win. That story and more when Newswatch returns.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
On Rivers of Life, journey to the frozen north, to the Yukon River. In this land of extremes, those living along the river face great challenges, both ancient and new. Discover the natural and spiritual heart of the great northern wilderness. The Yukon, America's legendary frozen river. Rivers of Life, Wednesday on PBS and the PBS app.
Resistance was a necessity.
On making Black America.
Slaves were freed, but African Americans had not become truly equal citizens.
Organizing for change and Black life, Black joy.
Creating these spaces or enclaves that allow us to feel good about ourselves and good in the world, even if the world isn't good.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
On American Experience.
Jeans are the quintessential American garment. They are universal and individual at the same time. but it's always the same story. It's about the cowboys in the West. It's about Levi Strauss and the gold rush.
And yet so much of the story we tell about jeans is a myth.
Riveted, the history of jeans on American Experience.
Saturday at 9 on WOUB.
Welcome back, I'm Sully Beach. The Athens boys soccer team moves on after a 14-0 win over the Belpre Eagles. Owen Buckley scored only 4 minutes into the game to get the offense going. The Bulldogs kept up momentum through the first half to take a 7-0 lead into the locker room. Athens scored another touchdown worth of goals in the second half thanks in part to a Sully Pellet hat trick. The Bulldogs came out on top in the area recent coaches poll. Gallia Academy follows closely behind at number 2. The Blue Devils and Bulldogs faced off earlier in the year and Athens pulled off a 2-1 win. The Alexander Spartans are at the bottom in the 8th place, but with a winning record of 7-4-3. The Bulldogs take on the Chillicothe Cavaliers tomorrow. Kickoff is set for 7:15. The Athens girls soccer team finds itself in a different spot. The Bulldogs are ranked 7th in the latest area coaches poll, just ahead of Logan. Fairfield Union is in the number 1 spot with a record of 10-1-5. Warren is in a spot above the Bulldogs after beating them earlier in the year 3-1. The Lady Bulldogs' next game is set for tomorrow at 7:15 against those Logan Chieftains. The Bobcats hit the road to Kalamazoo, Michigan to take on the Western Michigan Broncos. The Broncos have a 4-2 record at the midpoint of the season, but their strong defense could pose a challenge for the Bobcats' explosive offense. Ohio has yet to come away with a road win. Head coach Tim Albin says they need to figure out a way to finish against MAC schools away from home.
Then you take the Kent State game, and we took them to the final blow and just didn't find a way to finish. And we're looking to have a different outcome on this next road trip.
Is scheduled for 3:30 Saturday. Ohio volleyball sits near the top of the Mid-American Conference standings with more than a month left in the season. The Bobcats are 4-2 in the MAC record, put them in second behind a 5-1 Bowling Green team that swept them just 2 weeks ago. Kent State follows with a 2-4 record, while Buffalo, the team the Bobcats play this weekend, is 2-5 in MAC play. Miami and both Akron struggled this season, both with just 1 conference win.
So welcome back. Last look at your weather here. You can see, again, that severe weather for the region is predominant. Just be aware with that cold front moving in through the area that you could have some severe weather. That'll just bring a lot of wind and a lot of rain for the region. Now, Athens yourself, you're going to see temperatures tonight drop down to a low of 53 degrees with rain showers possible with that cold front moving through the region. Just be prepared for some severe weather. Be aware of your safe space if there were to be a case of any severe weather throughout the night tonight. Now, Athens tomorrow, high of 65 degrees, low of 36 degrees, and a 30% chance of showers. Now, not the greatest weather when it comes to the weekend, but itself, as we move forward, it'll be better.
We're learning more about NASA's successful mission last month to change the trajectory of an asteroid. Scientists did it by slamming a spacecraft into the asteroid Dimorphos. Prior to the impact, Dimorphos orbited another asteroid named Didymus once about every 12 hours. Astronomers used telescopes to measure how Dimorphos' orbit changed after impact. The new observations show that orbit has been shortened by 32 minutes. The goal of the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART, was to shave at least 10 minutes off the path. It marks the first mission NASA has conducted with the goal of planetary defense.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For all of us here at Newswatch, I'm Jensen Neck.
And I'm Taylor Mondragon. Stay tuned for NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org or follow us on social media. Have a great night.
Not so great weather this weekend, but that's what it is.
All good.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Support comes from Snyder Strode Jarrett Financial in Athens, providing investment and retirement planning assistance to Southeast Ohio for over